Man, Battlefield 6, isn't that looking really cool? Watching all the explosions and the gunfights, and it's looking really fun. And I, for the life of me, just can't forgive EA for what they did to Titanfall. Here, let me explain to you why. Growing up, I was an Xbox kid, and one of my favorite games other than Halo Combat Evolved just so happened to be Mech Assault 2 Lone Wolf. It really was the game that introduced me to the whole idea of mechs. And I'll be honest, it was the only mech game that I would truly play over the years. And fast forwarding through time, we also got the Xbox Live capabilities and the rise of FPS multiplayer games. We enjoyed Black Ops and we enjoyed Halo, we enjoyed all of those. But there was one game that came out in the middle of that awkward transition between the Xbox 360 era and the Xbox One. And it was the game that rejuvenated my love for mechs. We are talking about Titanfall 1, released on March 11th, 2014. What confused me at first was it was a multiplayer only game. It didn't have a single player campaign, but the multiplayer maps acted as story missions between two factions. There are 9 story missions with 24 maps, 15 on launch and 9 DLC. It was a player versus enemy versus player game, with a parkour movement system in a time where it was still a fresh concept, with the only notable games to do it were Mirror's Edge and Brink. And one of the coolest concepts that I experienced firsthand with Titanfall happens at the end of the match. If you lost the match, you had to evacuate or secure the evac point for your team because the victory team has to disrupt your evac. Now everyone has 1 life, but if you get to the evac point, it's on a timer and the ship has health. It was the coolest mechanic I've ever seen. The game had high review scores and it was generally liked. But I can't look at this game through rose-tinted glasses. First and foremost, it was an Xbox exclusive game. Over time, with how limited you were with class customization for both pilots and titans, and how lackluster the progression in the game was, and the fact that this game came out at an awkward time between the transition of the 360 and the One, so the game actually came out on both gens, but there was no cross progression. So if you bought it on the 360, you had to buy it again on the Xbox One, and you had to replay from level 1. Some people would find that interesting, but a majority wouldn't, really. Let's be honest. In all honesty, I understand why people got bored of it quickly. A couple of years pass after the first game, and then we get Titanfall 2 announced on June 12th, 2016, and it had one of the sickest trailers. The game was released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. It also came out with a collector's edition that came with the pilot helmet that I do own over there. Hopefully I can take a photo and just show you my little area of helmets. It took what worked in the first game and amplified it, made it even better. First and foremost, the game had a campaign, a single player mode, which had some memorable moments between the pilot, Jack Cooper, and BT-7274.
My analysis indicates a throw is our only option here. I can throw you across the gap.
That's insane.
I'm incapable of insanity, pilot. Trust me.
And my god, if we're talking about the single player mode, then hey, any content creator or anybody that's even played Titanfall 2 will tell you there is that one level you have to experience for yourself, cause explaining it doesn't do it justice. The multiplayer also had a major upgrade. It improved on the parkour with adding new abilities such as sliding, and the pilots also got new tactical abilities. My favorite one was the grappling hook. Titans also got some love too. They got distinct loadouts. My favorite was Ronin. At this time, the industry was all about post-launch support. And hey, you know what Respawn said? We'll give you the post-launch support and we'll make every single DLC update free. It was perfect. But alas, it never got the love it deserved. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Neglect. The game was sandwiched in between the release of 2 major games, Battlefield 1 on October 21st, 2016, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, November 4th, 2016. And hey, you want to know a little secret? Hey, come closer. You know who published Titanfall 2? EA. The marketing, though it had an amazing trailer, was near non-existent when compared to those other games. And looking at the post-launch support for these games, COD and Battlefield were at their worst when it came to loot boxes, paid DLCs, and passes. Anyone who played those games at the time of their release probably shudder at the thought of remembering those days. And Respawn, as I said before, said, hey, all of our post-launch support will be free and we will have our monetization only be through cosmetics. That's all fine and dandy. The game was beloved and received well by the public, but the poor release time really screwed over this game in the long run. The game has its dedicated player base, but it never reached the heights I believe it truly deserved. And a common conspiracy is EA did this in order to lower the value of Respawn for their acquisition, which they did on December 1st, 2017. Many years passed and it seemed like Titanfall 3 was never gonna come. But on February 4th, 2019, fun fact, one day before my birthday, Respawn drops Apex Legends, a free-to-play hero shooter battle royale set in the Titanfall universe. And at the time, battle royales were the big craze with PUBG, Fortnite, and others. This game reinvigorated people's love for Titanfall, and it being a free-to-play game really opened it up to a bigger audience. It brought back fan-favorite guns and even took the abilities that were in Titanfall 2 and gave them to certain heroes. I always loved playing the grappling hook in Titanfall 2, so whenever Apex came out, I just ended up gravitating towards Pathfinder. But Titanfall took a heavy hit in 2021. On February 2021, there was extreme lag being reported on the official Titanfall 2 multiplayer servers, and it was becoming widespread. On April 2021, Respawn acknowledges the extreme lags and confirms them to be DDoS attacks by hackers, and that they were working on fixes. In July 2021, with no improvements after 3 to 4 months, another hacker ends up getting frustrated and decides to focus on the Apex Legends servers, with defacing their in-game messages and playlists to all say a specific website URL, SaveTitanfall.com, which is a website that you can still visit to read what happened. And they were able to temporarily shut down Apex Legends matchmaking, forcing Respawn to quickly fix their cash cows servers while temporarily fixing the Titanfall servers. Now, close to the end of 2021, the Titanfall 2 community was still frustrated with Respawn and EA. So what did a couple of modders do? They decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna make our own client. So they made their own community-driven servers called the North Star client. Which brings us to today. We keep going through rounds of rumors about a third Titanfall game, but because of how successful Apex has been, and Respawn's success with the Star Wars franchise, what I'm about to say, I truly hope I'm wrong about this, but it doesn't feel like we're gonna get a third game for a while. God, please tell me I'm wrong. Please. And that's the end of the video. Hey, did you enjoy it? Why not like, subscribe, and tell me in the comment section below. Did you play Titanfall 2? What's your fondest memory of the game? And if you didn't like this video, hey, I'm not gonna tell you not to dislike it, you can go right ahead. And I hope to see you here next time. See ya!